I give Everyday Struggle about 6 months. And
okay.
I don't think Joe Budden's going to cause it to crash and burn, but I do think Joe Budden's is eventually going to walk away from it. Like, Joe is the guy that right when shit starts to get good, he's like, nah, fuck this shit. I'd rather smoke cigars and make a music 10, okay?
Yo, look at those dislikes. Wow, it looks like Charlamagne was only off by a few months. And I didn't want to think it was true. The show is on an upward trajectory, so this is very surprising. Let's talk about today's news. Brought to you by Everyday Struggle. People are really rocking with Joe Budden nowadays, man. Honestly, remember when the show first started and everybody was hating on Joe Budden's because of the way he would like abuse Akademiks? People have come around. I was always rocking with Joe Budden. I thought he was a little bit aggressive with Akademiks, and just in general with some of the guests, he'd go in a little bit extra up until Jeezy showed up last week. We saw how that turn Joe Budden down. On the show, DJ Who Kid is still there. I don't think he's that bad of a host. I think he has a couple of moments where he makes jokes that kind of don't really land and they fall flat. So there's a couple of awkward moments with him as guest host. And I thought it was just gonna be for one day yesterday, but apparently he's there for the entire week. So at 16 minutes, they take a quote from Eminem's Vulture interview, Vulture magazine, where he basically talks about how he's making music just for his core fans at this point. He's not really concerned with the critics. He's not concerned with the reviews, whether people like his album or not. He's making music for the people that have been rocking with him since day one, his core fan base. And I kind of like that, to be honest with you. Like, I think that at this point in his career, there's not a lot of room for him to grow. So why not make music for the fans that have been rocking with you since day one, and not make music to sort of placate the mainstream or whatever's popping at the moment right now? So I'm kind of digging what Eminem was saying there. I think that some people might take that the wrong way in saying that, you know, maybe he doesn't care to make good music, but I think he's just making the point that he doesn't need to make, you know, what we consider right now to be good music. He doesn't need to, you know, keep up with his contemporaries. He just needs to make music for the people that rock with him and that have supported him since day one. All right, also in the news was Mase's freestyle on Cosmic Kev's show on Power 99. Philadelphia radio show. In this freestyle, I think he goes in, man. I was really digging the freestyle. I think he came in pretty strong.
Stuff my Louis with millions, I'm a rat pack rapper. Lynch me and Da Vinci, double sharp head, Italian sub, I'm about the large red.
But yeah, I think this freestyle was pretty strong. I liked it. It's got this, you know, classic 90s Mase sound to it. This freestyle, his flow really hasn't evolved at all. So if you're into the 90s Mase flow, definitely go check out that freestyle. It's pretty dope. All right, so let's talk about this Joe Budden and Complex beef. I don't think he's gonna be leaving the show. I think that he's just playing he's just playing hardball at this point when it comes to the contract negotiations. And like I said yesterday, he's probably trying to negotiate for a better contract considering the success of the show. I don't even think Complex anticipated that this show would be such a success. Complex is like just any older legacy media company where their reach is expanding but their profits are going down. Back in the day, the profits belonged to the distributor, and that's still the case, except the legacy media print companies like Complex or Vogue or GQ, they're not the distributors anymore. They're not the distributors of content. The distributors of content now is YouTube, Google, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. That's how people are distributing content now. So they don't really own the content in the same way that they used to. Anybody can get on a camera now, grab a microphone now, and distribute their own content. So Complex is in a weird position where their reach is growing. More people know about Complex, but they're making less money because they're not able to distribute their own content. They have to put it through YouTube and give Google a cut. They have to put it through Facebook and give Facebook a cut. And I think that because Complex is getting a bigger reach, especially because of this particular show, Joe is probably trying to negotiate his contract to reflect that, whereas Complex is trying to negotiate the contract based on how much money they're bringing in from this show and all their other media properties. And so they're in a tough situation where they probably can't afford Joe, and Joe's in a situation where he's saying, you know, you guys should probably take a loss for keeping me on the show because I'm expanding your reach. At this point, I don't think Joe's gonna walk away from the show. I think he's just walking away from the negotiating table. And if you've done any sort of negotiation, when you buy a car, when you buy a house, when you negotiate the price of a service that you're providing, you know that walking away from the table sometimes is the strongest move you can make in a negotiation. Complex definitely needs to invest more into this show. They should probably give this show its own channel on YouTube, kind of the way they did with First We Feast and the Hot One series. I think that that's probably the best way for Complex to grow this series, to grow this show, and to get more money for this show, because then they could advertise directly against this particular content on that channel. If you go on his Twitter right now, you would basically assume that he is done, that he's not going back to Complex. But I really do think that this is just sort of a negotiation tactic so that Complex can feel the heat from the audience like us, you know, with the no Joe, no show hashtag and the comments and things like that, so that they can feel the pressure to sort of renegotiate his contract and offer him the money that he's probably asking for. On his Twitter, he responded to D-Ray when he said, "I didn't realize Joe Budden left Everyday Struggle." And Joe Budden says, "They didn't even give me a proper goodbye." He also posted this clip here where he talks about reinventing himself as a creator, be it through music, through TV, through any sort of media platform. And I think we definitely have seen Joe Budden do that.
Def Jam said, "Fuck you." Know what I did? I'm to the streets. I will create here. When that stopped working, I'm digital. I'm doing digital only. When that stopped working, I'm YouTube. I'm putting my relationship here. My point is, I'm going to continue to create. When that stopped working, Slaughterhouse, We Born. When that stopped working, here we are. You're not saying there's always a creation?
But I think that the reason why also that Complex might be going in a different direction, even away from this show, is because the creator of this show and creator of the Out of Bounds show is not with Complex anymore. He left Complex, I think, a couple months ago, or maybe he's soon to leave Complex, but it was announced a couple months ago. He was a creator of this show, so he would want to see it succeed. And without him there, I think that maybe Joe Budden doesn't have somebody behind the scenes at Complex sort of advocating for him to stay on the show, because they might not be advocating for the show in general, especially because of all the static that Joe kind of brings at Complex. This show without Joe, it's basically no Joe, no show, and Akademiks has basically made it clear that he's not committed to Complex. He's committed to just making good content. And so if Joe walks away from the show, I would not be surprised at all if we see Akademiks walk away from the show, and then basically we don't have a show. Who's going to replace both of them? It's not possible. So we'll see what happens. But if you go over to the last upload that they did, the Everyday Struggle show from today, it has quite the bit of dislikes. The fans, the streets are talking, and they do not want to see DJ Who Kid or anyone as guest host. They want to see Joe come back. Joe's made it clear that he's not on paternity leave, that he's not on daddy duties, and that he is more than willing to come back as long as they cut that check. Speaking of dislikes, let me just talk about my video from yesterday, my review of Eminem's album. I got a good amount of, not hate, but a good amount of dissenting opinions, which I totally welcome. If I ever say anything going forward, if I ever review an album and you totally disagree with me, you're more than welcome, and I encourage you to get in my comment box and tell me exactly how I'm wrong. I really appreciate the conversation. That's why I do this anyways. But damn, people were going in on my video about Eminem's album, and I'm kind of surprised because the general consensus is that the album is not good. And in that video, I said that I thought it wasn't a total loss. It wasn't total garbage. I thought that there were some tracks on there that make it not a total garbage album. And I've listened to it like 5 or 6 times from front to back. I fell asleep listening to it the night before. Eminem always has bars. I think the production is pretty good on some of the tracks. I think the features were pretty good, like I said yesterday. And I do like his message of making music just for his specific core fans. At this point, Eminem does not have any room to grow. We all know who he is. He's not gonna break through into some new demographic. So I think that that's actually a good approach for him, to speak to your fan base. It is easy for all of us to sit up here and criticize anyone's art. I'm a photographer, and I know that when you put your heart and soul into some work creatively, it can feel very raw when people don't respond to the work the way you thought they would, or the way you think it deserves to be responded to. So no disrespect to any creator. I'm just sharing my opinion. Like if it was, this is like barbershop talk. Like if I was talking to you about music that I'm listening to, don't take my opinion personal ever. It's just my opinion, and that's just where I stand on that album. I don't think it's a total loss. I just think that it could have been much better. And I think had he gotten the right people in the studio with him in the process of making this album, it could have been a lot better. So that's just my opinion. I still think Eminem is extremely talented, so no hate towards Eminem. So yo, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys to all the people that showed up on the video yesterday, to all the people that left me comments and encouragement. I really appreciate you guys for that. And if you know anybody else that knows about the plug and isn't plugged in, then definitely put them on. If you want to see what else I get into in the future, definitely hit that subscribe button. And if you have any opinions, any questions, any comments, definitely leave them in the comment box below this video. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Peace. By the way, really quick, if you make music, if you make beats, if you make videos, music videos, whatever it is, definitely plug them in my comment section. I just want to share art and I want to share music of people that maybe don't get an opportunity to shine. And this is not a big channel, of course, but still, I want to lend my channel to whoever wants to share some of their music or whatever work that they got going on. Put it in the comments below this video and I'll share it in the next video. If I rock with it, if I think it's good, I'll share it in the next video. So thank you so much. Definitely leave the links to whatever work you want to share with me in the comments and I'll share it going forward. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Peace.